So often I think people think of setbacks as this thing that takes them off their path, that takes them and distracts or pulls them off of progression in a way. And I don't look at it that way. I think often setbacks are an opportunity to reset, to recalibrate, and to see something through a new lens. And most importantly, to learn. Discomfort is an interesting one. You know, often we say, you know, it's important to get comfortable being uncomfortable, right? Meaning from being uncomfortable, you learn something. You learn something new again about yourself, and you learn something new about a situation, a dynamic, general context, or what have you. So that's discomfort. Discomfort is another opportunity for learning. And often when you're uncomfortable, it's uncovering something that maybe you didn't have at the ready, an awareness or an understanding that you didn't have at the ready, and it's an opportunity to take stock. And ultimately, growth is learning. Growth is going from point A to point B. It's about progression. It's about development. It's about taking on new things that complement, supplement, that maybe oppose things that you already know and understand. And so to me, all three of these are about learning. And so being in this situation of a setback, there's an opportunity to learn something from that, something that you can take forward with you. So when you're uncomfortable, when you experience discomfort, there's a learning in that. And ultimately, growth is learning. It's about taking on new skills, new perspectives, and moving yourself forward. And so all of these are about learning. I had the experience of joining an organization and a team where I very quickly realized I wasn't in the right place. And it had a lot to do with the culture. It had a lot to do with people's how they got things done, how they communicated to one another, and more specifically, how they communicated to me as candidly the only Black person on the team. And I was a junior staff member at the time. And being in that situation, I gained a lot of insight about myself. Candidly, up until that point, I hadn't really understood what my limits were with respect to how people operating around me affected me, both emotionally and mentally and just personally, in that way, because I'd always put the work first. I'd always kind of put myself and my needs and my wants to the side, and so it was always prioritizing the organization. So I learned a lot about what boundaries I needed, and how I needed to sort of protect myself, and what I liked and what was not good for me. And at the same time, I actually wound up staying in that team and in that organization for at least another 5 or 6 months. And some people may say, well, why the hell would you do that? If you were not happy, why would you stay in that position? And a big part of the reason I made that decision was I don't believe in running from things. I believe in running toward things. And I also felt like it was important for me to focus on what else I could learn and gain from that context in service of my own hopes, dreams, goals, and aspirations. So I took this as an opportunity to say, like, I don't like this. I don't like that about the culture. I don't like this about how this person operates. And I learned how to navigate that space with someone I didn't really want to be around in the ways that, I ultimately had to. So it grew me up a little bit, I would say, in a way that, we're not always going to be in a situation where everything is harmonious and perfect and is exactly as we want it to be. Over time, you get to make more and more choices, and ultimately, as you get further in your career or what have you, maybe you're the one setting the tone, you're the one building the culture. But at the onset, I think it gave me the space to be better at understanding how to create boundaries. I learned a lot, and over time I learned also how to look for those signals when I was going to new teams or organizations and companies. I was able to better suss those things out earlier on because I understood how to look for them in a way that allowed me to make more informed choices. My number one piece of advice is to look for the lesson. And ideally, looking for the lesson not just in a situation where you're already in that moment of discomfort, but look for a lesson that doesn't exist in your current situation, which means you probably are going to put yourself in a net new environment or a net new situation, and there will be some discomfort from that. So I think my number one piece of advice is look for the lesson. And someone who might be afraid of stepping into a moment of discomfort, I think the other thing I would say is it's all temporary. You will learn something from it. You will learn how to be in that place of discomfort and sift out what's important for you as you move forward. And then you will take those things and, the sky is the limit. So I think it's just really important to look for the lesson, either where you are or where you could be, and just, focus on that.